Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning, and it is Friday, folks. Welcome to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It's a Friday. That means Johnny C. Johnny Cornell will join us. Yeah, baby. That's him right there. He always chimes in before I'm ready for him. Second half of the show, we're going to talk college hoops with ESPN's Jimmy Dykes, former Arkansas Razorback. Get his thoughts on the NCAA tournament, SEC tournament, just what's going on in college hoops. But in the meantime, let's go to the Titan MR hotline. We're joined by Corn Dog himself, who is representing the Champion brand and the New York Yankees.
I will tell you right now, the Champion brand is catching on. I see a lot of people wearing the Champion brand because people like to be champions. I tell you what, QB, old Jimmy on the show here coming up. Will be interesting to watch. I'm going to watch that because I'm really curious what the SEC is going to be able to manage. I guess a lot of it will depend on the SEC tournament and next week. But I'm really hopeful for 6 teams. I don't know if that can happen, but I would like to see Tennessee and LSU play a little better. And Kentucky's the kind of team that is starting to play better, even though now they're a team Florida has to get around this weekend. But I think Alabama showed us that on any given night, you can really get worked over if you don't play well. And Arkansas is a trending team, obviously. I think they're playing their way up the ladder in terms of seeding, national seeding. And if they have a good SEC tournament, they will be a very high seed, I think. So the SEC's got some real potential to maybe get almost half the league in the tournament, maybe.
The only way Kentucky can get in, Kentucky's got to win the SEC tournament. But SEC can get 5-6 teams in. We'll talk to Jimmy about that. Some Gator news and notes. Baseball has a 3-game series this weekend with Sanford. They're rolling in here. Softball won again yesterday, or was it Wednesday? Hell, I can't remember. But I wanted to read you a stat, JC.
Let's hear it.
So the Gator pitching staff, which, Tim's always had that ace, whether it's Brombacher, Stacey Nelson, whoever it may be. Well, he does the whole rotation. You pitch for a couple of innings, I take you out, put you back in because you can do that in softball. The Gator pitching staff has not allowed more than 5 hits in a game so far this season, has 5 shutouts in their first 9 games. They're 9-0. And so, again, he thinks it's his best offensive team he's ever had. So we shall see once conference play rolls around.
Yeah, I'd love to see some balls flying out of there. I think, his formula has been pretty simple. Get 1 or 2 pitchers who are overwhelming and then just kind of –
But he doesn't have that this year.
No, I know.
He's got like 5 girls that he pitches.
Well, sure, but I'm just saying that's been his formula. And what I was going to say was that now it seems to be changing from that to, just score, keep scoring, and score as many as possible and hit the ball all over the place. So hopefully that's what we're going to see because I think that's more entertaining. I think more people like to watch that than a 1-0 or 2-1 game. But, it's only been 9 games into the season. I think once we see the SEC schedule pick up, that's where we're going to see what this team can really do.
Yes.
And aren't they – let me ask you this. Maybe you could ask Tim this, QB, about hosting the SEC. I should know this, but for some reason I'm drawing a blank. When will they host an SEC tournament here?
Next year.
Is it next year? Okay.
Next year. Also, SEC championships going on. The swimming championships are going on. They've been going on for about 3 weeks now, it seems like. I do not understand the whole swimming aspect. We'll have to get Bates on here because his wife is swimmer, his kids are swimming. But it's like I think it's been at Auburn. I feel like they've been at Auburn for a month now.
It's always at Auburn. All swim meets are at Auburn.
I thought it moves around. Actually, they're in Missouri. I think they're in Missouri.
Okay, well, it feels like every year they they swim at Auburn. But yes, I was being sarcastic. I think swim is kind of like track or gymnastics. I mean, it's all about times and not gymnastics, but track is. It
Track is
reminds
in
me
the
a lot.
SEC indoors right now. We were supposed to have Mouse Holloway on this week. He was busy, so we're going to try to get him on next week or the following week. And speaking of that, I just lost my train of thought. But anyway, they're at the SEC indoors.
Okay, and
Grant Holloway, who was our all-world track guy, who's going to be in the Olympics, set the world record, the 60-meter high hurdles the other day.
Yeah, 60-meter high hurdles. I was also wanting to say congrats to the women's golf team earlier this week over at UF. I don't know if you've mentioned them. I don't remember talking about them on Wednesday, but one of the young ladies there, I think birdied she birdied her last 3 holes to help them tie in that tournament. And so I'd say that was a pretty successful couple of weeks for the golf programs. I'd love to see the golf programs, play better as the years go by, because they should be really good. I mean, there's no reason why Florida's golf teams are not good. So
we got a Facebook Live here brought to you by Mellon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. John says, let me scroll back down. He says, hard to top that offense that went 70-5 and led the nation in home runs. He's referring to softball. I'm just going by what the head coach told me. This is from top to bottom his most potent offensive lineup. Gene says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law, is the corn dog going for a jog after the show in his snug hoodie? Shane, curious who are your Major League Baseball teams that you root for? I can't keep up with all of JC's. Well, I don't really root for anyone. I'm not a fan of anybody but the Gators because I played there. I grew up a Saints fan, kind of. I mean, I really didn't care,
the Braves. You're Atlanta
Braves because that's all that was on the WTBS back in the day. But I don't have one thing that's Atlanta Braves in my house. I don't own one piece of clothing that has Atlanta Braves A or the Tomahawk. I don't watch if their game is on maybe ESPN one night, I may watch 2 innings and that's it. I do not care about any pro teams, quite honestly.
You don't care about. Well, Gene knows, because he knows me, as do you, that I'm a Yankees fan. You guys know this. I've said it 10,000 times over the years, but I like kind of sporting some other cool hats now and then. But the Yankees are my team, and you guys know that, as does Gene. So, go Rays. I was happy to see Tampa Bay succeed last year. That didn't hurt my feelings at all.
Refresh your vehicle and your brand with a vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot. February is your lucky month at Wrap Spot. Mention promo code Shane and receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. JC, speaking of college basketball, got a lot of games in the SEC tomorrow. We'll talk to Jimmy Dykes about that. But the one game that stands out to me the most, obviously we're interested in the Florida-Kentucky game, but LSU, who is struggling, is playing a hot Arkansas team.
All right.
And I'm going to ask Jimmy, what's the problem with LSU? I just can't figure them out.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the way both teams are going, who would be surprised if Arkansas didn't just run them out of the barn? And so I tell you, you're right about LSU. They're an enigma in this league. They're currently, I want to say they're second in the league right now somehow, but it just seems like to me when I look at them, they just don't seem to play to their potential. I don't know. Maybe that's just hot and cold kind of team. I also am interested in, even though we've talked about these SEC games, the Florida State North Carolina game should be interesting. That game
in
is
basketball.
Being played, yes, in Chapel
FSU,
Hill.
I will take FSU all day long. They're so much better than.
Well, they're ranked 11th right now, and certainly their record is better. But North Carolina's 14-8, and they have potential to really play well on any given day. In the Big 12, the Texas Tech game would be good. I think Alabama's in a dangerous spot because Mississippi State matches with them with that front court of theirs. Now, Mississippi State's very capable of losing by 30 points. They're also capable of taking you to the wire. So it could be interesting. Mississippi, Vanderbilt, anything could happen there. Vandy's played a little bit better basketball lately, at least in some close games. South Carolina's a mess right now. Don't really care much about Auburn or Georgia. And of course, you have the. Texas A&M. I don't know. Can you tell me the last game they played? Texas A&M.
And they haven't played in it seems like at least a month.
It does seem like a month, and they're not playing against. The game with Missouri got canceled, or postponed. So Texas A&M is not. They're just not playing basketball. It's too bad. But Florida, Kentucky will be a tough game. I know all about Kentucky's record. I get it. They're 8-13. They're 8th in the SEC. They are playing some good basketball.
Right? I meant to ask you this the other day because someone asked me this on another show. So, JC, in the last 20 years, the Big Ten has some really good basketball teams this year with Michigan, Ohio State, who lost at Michigan State last night. Michigan State is playing much better. They have a chance.
Much better. Now. Yes.
So you got those two, Iowa and Illinois. And I'm going to ask Jimmy Dykes. I think those 4 teams can make a deep run in the tournament.
Yeah.
But I'm going to ask you this. Between football and basketball, the 2 major male sports, how many national titles do you think the mighty Big Ten has had in the last 20 years?
In the last 20 years, football and basketball?
Combined.
Okay, so combined.
Because they try to act all almighty, the Big Ten folks.
Oh, I know.
The SEC has had a ton.
Of course, I think Ohio State might be your only football national title. Maybe, I think Ohio State is your only football national title winner in the last 20 years. So I can say 1 there. And then in terms of basketball, I cannot think of a national title winner in basketball. What am I missing? Certainly. Oh, Michigan State, of course. So. Well, maybe Michigan State. I'm going to go with the number 2, just because I know it's more. It's definitely 1, but maybe 2.
They've won a total of 3 national titles in the last 20 years. 2 by Ohio State in football.
2 by Ohio State football.
And 1 by Michigan State when they beat the Gators.
When did Ohio State? Okay, so Ohio State won it.
They won against Miami when Jim Tressel was there. Remember the Maurice Claret team?
That was within 20 years.
Yeah, because like Willis McGahee and all that crew was on the.
So that was in the early. Team. That was in the early 2000s.
Early 2000, then Urban won. So they only had 3. Okay. Where when you look at the SEC, when you take the baseball and the basketball titles,
it's not even close. Alabama in football, Florida's got a couple basketball titles. Kentucky's got a basketball title. You got LSU and Florida's got 2 national titles in football. And then you got the Gators, I was going to say. So Florida's accounted for 4 just on their own. Who was the other basketball one? You said Ohio State. No. Ohio State twice in football. And what was the basketball one?
Michigan State beat the Gators in 2000 for the national.
That was 2000. Well, that would be 21 years, QB. But I hear you.
Okay, yeah,
I hear you. I got you. Okay, good. Very well. I did say Michigan State, so I went with 2.
Did they beat us? Did we play for the national title? Or was that a semifinal game?
Yeah, no, Team Cleves.
Yeah, I thought so. All right, so JC, I want to read you this day in sports before we get to talking some PGA golf. This day in sports. Brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. This month, get a free annual maintenance plan with every residential duct cleaning purchase, $199 value. The service department is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for your convenience. So, JC, since you're a huge Yankees fan, do you remember what happened in 1935? If you're a real true Yankees fan, you would know what happened in 1935.
Well, it's funny because I do know what happened in 1927. So do I get credit for that?
Well, there was some guy named Babe Ruth that played for the Yankees.
Yes.
And they released him, and he signed with the Boston Braves. So did they just basically cut the Babe?
Well, the Babe was kind of in decline. Let's just go that route. I don't know. That's pretty impressive. That's amazing. 1935. Well, QB. And before you get to another thing about, I've got a little something for you that you won't get, but you might get this because you know all quarterback trivia and so forth. Can I ask you something real quick?
Sure.
This is brought to you by the guy in the Yankees hat. In the last 50 years, only one quarterback has started 50 or more games and not thrown a pick 6. There's only one. He's started 50 or more games. He's currently on a roster. I'll give you a clue there. He's also a guy that has started and also has been benched, but has started more than he's been benched. He's currently in the league, starting for a team today, and he has not thrown a pick six, and he's the only one who started more than 50 games. Who would that guy be?
I gotta have a clue. Give me give me the team's colors or something.
Well, I will tell you this. He was a very high draft pick, and to many people's chagrin of this team, they didn't get Patrick Mahomes. They went with this guy instead. That should give it away. And here's another clue. The new coach is the reason why they drafted him, because he was just recently hired as head coach when they drafted him.
I don't follow the draft, so I need to know, give me the team's colors or something.
Well, if I do that, you got it.
Well, we're going to sit here for the next 45 minutes. And
okay, so let's just say you don't know who it is.
I have no clue.
Okay, all right. It's Mitchell Trubisky. And
he hasn't thrown a pick six?
He has not thrown a pick six and has started more than 50 games. And the reason why you should have gotten this is because I told you he was a starting quarterback that they drafted instead of Patrick Mahomes, to much of the fan base's chagrin. And he was either the second or third pick in that draft that year. The Bears were picking very high, and they went with this kid from North Carolina that not many people were very excited about.
That's a great trivia question. You know, I've only thrown one pick six in my career, JC.
Is that right? Was it against
my entire career?
Was it against
college and pro combined?
Well, I don't think you did it in college. So
it's the most famous freaking play in college football, basically.
You did do it in college. Yes, it really is. It's
the play that changed college football. That's the only pick six I ever threw.
That is the only pick six. I'll be damned.
Yep.
I saw it too. I was there. Well, listen, that's a good question, though, for you to kick around with your quarterback buddies throughout your circles of contacts that you talk to every day. So.
Yeah, I will. That's a good trivia question there. There's no question about it. So JC, we had to do our Peachland Dentistry
golf picks,
weekend golf picks on Wednesdays now, because the tournament starts on Thursday. But they're down in Bradenton at the concession, and
you may have picked the guys.
My guy, I have the highest leader right now with my man Brooks Koepka, the semi. Webb Simpson. I don't know why I don't ever pick him. A good buddy of mine is his caddy, Paul Tesori, who played golf here at Florida.
Yeah, he was VJ's caddy too.
He was VJ's caddy for a long time, but he's a good player.
Well, he is.
Look at Billy Horschel.
I know. That's that Florida grass, baby. I mean, but you picked two guys that I don't even see up here, except Johnson is not a factor. I at least picked three guys that are under par, one of whom is only one stroke behind your guy. So I think my picks are clearly superior to your picks. I mean, we don't even know where your guy Cantlay is. He may not have even gotten on the roster, and you went ahead and picked him.
He may have missed his private plane ride.
That shows bad awareness on your part. Very poor. Very poor.
Yeah, we're going to have Brian Gay on next week.
That guy is amazing. He's amazing. I mean, he's one of those guys that played with the Pat Bates, Dudley Hart, Chris DeMarco crew, and he's been playing forever. Brian,
he won last year, or maybe he won. It was last year he won.
I just think it's incredible that he's still able to compete at this level at his age. I think that's great. Considering he's played for so long. I mean, he's been playing forever.
Speaking of golf, we got a Facebook Live here brought to you by Metal Law, official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Sandy wants to know any updates on Tiger. What's the latest, JC?
They're still working on his ankle. No, certainly Tiger Woods is going to go through a very long rehab process, and we're just hoping that Kai can have a normal quality of life with his children at this point. I don't think playing golf is even in the.
I don't know if he'll ever play golf again.
Right, so it's certainly not at this level, correct? So I think right now Tiger's got golf is probably the last thing on his mind. He just is hoping for a quality of life that he can spend with his kids, being able to do the normal activities of daily living. Let's think about this. His leg has been shattered. So that's,
I think both legs, right?
So, well, mostly his right one, but yes, I'm sure his left one was damaged severely and injured severely. So to say nothing of his mental psyche right now, I mean, his whole life is right there. He's thinking about probably things we can't even imagine right now in that hospital room, and he'll be there a while. And so it's very, it's a tragedy. It just is. We're not going to get to see him play golf for a very long time, if ever.
No, and don't forget, folks, go to potupwithshane.com, the new website, new and improved, done by our production staff, done a tremendous job. And you can sign up to get a free Chomp Harder hat. And again, we announced it yesterday. The winner of the hat is Greg Inez. And if you're listening, or our folks will get in touch with you. And then also we give away on Thursdays. We did it both yesterday, though. The G-Tech Clean COVID-19 Survival Protection Kit right here. Our winner was John Williams. So we'll give away that again next week.
Those are Richardson hats, and those are quality trucker. That's a quality trucker brand hat there that your boy Jimmy has got us going with. So I appreciate the one he gave me.
Some Facebook Live folks here saying Tiger has been transferred to another hospital.
It's going to be a long slog for poor Tiger.
He's going to have a ton of surgeries. That's what's going to happen.
It is. And then what happens when you have lots of surgeries? I think we all know that infection becomes a real big issue. And certainly Alex Smith came very close to losing his leg. So the miracle of Alex Smith is truly something to behold when it comes to athletics. But in this case, I think it's worse for Tiger Woods because it wasn't an injury sustained on a football field. It was a serious trauma. And I don't know what his prognosis would be anytime soon. It's going to be terrible for him.
It really is.
I hate seeing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's horrible. You know, obviously, we had our wager that you thought he'd win another major.
That's off the table. That's off the table.
Well, you owe me lunch, by the way.
No, you can't. Car accidents do not. They.
Hey, that was not documented. That was not documented when you made the wager.
Okay, we'll go. Is what's that? Well, we'll talk about it off air. I don't know if I'm allowed to mention certain places.
Yeah, you can't be talking about certain establishments if they don't sponsor our show.
That's right. So we'll talk about that off air.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Okay, so back to basketball. JC, in your opinion, Florida has 3 games left now. We're at Kentucky, home to Missouri, then at Tennessee with the game that they added. Do you firmly believe the Gators are in the tournament, even if they went 0-3 in the next 3 games?
0-3 would be very concerning because that puts them at 12-9. I don't see them going 0-3. I think they can beat Missouri. Certainly, they can beat Kentucky. So, I mean, if they can get 2 out of these 3 or all 3, certainly that locks them up, I think, pretty much. Their strength of schedule is good. They're 4th in the SEC. But going 0-3 makes them 12-9, and that puts them clearly on the bubble. And so I don't want to even think about that to me because you're going to see Lenardi with the first 4 out, next 4 out kind of thing, and Florida will probably find themselves on one of those spots if they go 0-3. But I think they're going to beat Missouri. I think they can beat Kentucky for certain, even though Kentucky's playing much better basketball.
Well, Kentucky beat the crap out of us at home.
What?
They beat the crap out of us here. They beat us by like 25.
Right. No, I see that. But I think these games, they will take different meanings when they play at different times. And Florida, I think, is a team that's playing better. I certainly think that Florida will be in if they win 1 or 2 of these next 2 games, or 2 for sure. And then the SEC tournament, I think, gives them an opportunity to keep adding to a higher seed potentially. You don't want to end up as an 8 or a 9 seed in these things because then you end up playing the 1 in all likelihood if you win. So I think going 0-3 though would really, really be scary. Yeah. Missouri's playing bad right now.
I can't figure them out. They're a good basketball team.
Yeah, there's something's going on with Konzo up there. I don't get it.
You think it's his fault?
Well, he's the coach.
Right, but he ain't out there shooting and playing defense.
Well, it's his job to figure it out and get these kids to play. And otherwise anybody could stand there in slacks and a t-shirt with a tie on and coach.
So he doesn't wear a tie. Most of them wear golf shirts.
No, I know they don't wear golf shirts now. No, it's true.
I'm glad you brought that up
because
I may ask Jimmy Dykes. I've never understood why basketball coaches wear suits, but now since it's COVID and nobody's in the stands, most of them are wearing just golf pants and a golf shirt or polo. Why the hell they even wear a suit? I don't get it.
Well, that's a really good question, but that's how it's always been. I mean, it's always been that way.
It makes absolutely no sense. Now, there's some coaches that that have never worn suits, like Huggins. He's never worn a suit. Actually, Musselman at Arkansas,
Bobby Knight.
What he's wearing is what he wears in the regular.
Bobby Knight. Do you remember Bobby Knight?
I've always been curious why these coaches.
I just think it's just decorum back in the day. Rick Pitino with the very expensive Armani, Italians. You got Dean Smith and you got Bill Calhoun.
But it's dumb.
Well, but this is how they dressed back then, QB. I mean,
they're ball coaches. They ain't going to a damn business meeting.
It's their business, but I think that's a great question. You should ask.
I've always thought it was stupid when coaches made players wear a suit on a road trip. That's so damn dumb.
Getting off the bus in their suit.
Yeah.
Dress code, QB, dress code.
It's not, but like Coach Spurrier, all we had to do when he coached was you just had to wear a collared shirt.
Yeah.
Dan Mullen, they put the kids in sweats. A lot of other teams put their kids in sweats. Wearing a damn suit is not comfortable on plane rides.
It's not.
I've always wanted to know who came up with this. They talk about it's a business trip. Who gives a damn if it's a business trip? You're in a suit or in a sweatsuit.
This
is trying to win a football game.
It's a huge issue for some. I can tell you're really worked up about it. And since you are a wardrobe guy, this is important. So let's get that question asked. That should be actually almost your first or second question with Jimmy.
Well, he's not going to know about traveling, but I remember, I think it was Marvin Lewis when I was in Cincinnati. He didn't care what you wore on the road trips, and I used to just wear slacks and a golf shirt. And then when it was snowing, I just wore slacks, golf shirt, and a big-ass jacket. But you would have some of these dudes wearing three-piece suits. I'm going, why are y'all doing that?
Well, a lot of folks want to know why Cam Newton dresses the way he does, too.
I would like to know that, too.
But you remember, George Steinbrenner, the great owner of the greatest professional sports franchise of all time. He was a businessman first. He built ships in Tampa. He was a shipbuilder. And everything was all business with George. You had to cut your hair. You couldn't wear a beard. You couldn't look like a different. You had to have a conformity as it came to appearance. And that's just the way people did business. And so maybe that has something to do with it because these owners are older guys. They're older people. Obviously.
The owners aren't the ones having anything to say about it.
George Steinbrenner had everything to say about it.
Well, maybe he did. Chris here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Metal says, I remember when coaches wore suits in the NFL, Vince Lombardi, Paul Brown, Tom Landry in his hat, even young Don Shula.
Yeah. Hank Stram had a sport coat all the time with that big Kansas City arrowhead. But Bud Grant would show up at Metropolitan Stadium in Minneapolis, Minnesota in 6-degree weather with a golf shirt on. And
I don't know what got me thinking about this, but I just think it's dumb.
Well, it's very important. Your world with apparel is most important, QB. You are an apparel.
You got to look good to play good, but you don't have to wear a suit as a coach.
Oh, okay.
You're a football or a basketball coach. I've always wondered why the baseball coaches have to dress up in uniform too.
Well, have you ever wondered why college managers are coaches and pro managers are managers? I mean, you got a manager and you got a coach. Kevin O'Sullivan is the head coach of the Gators.
He's the skipper.
He's the skipper or the head coach, right? And then, of course, Joe Torre was the manager of the Yankees. I mean, it's Joe Girardi.
But I mean, would it hurt if Kevin O'Sullivan on a 85-degree day here in another month, he couldn't wear some golf shorts and just a K's jacket and walk to the mound? Why has he got to be in full uniform? He's
got to be in a uniform if he's on that field because he's going on the field. Because he's going.
Okay, Mike White ain't coming out there in a tank top and shorts.
Well, but
could you see Dan Mullen in full gear on the sideline?
Kevin O'Sullivan walks from the dugout to the pitcher's mound. He walks across the playing surface. He is in a uniform. That is the rule.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's a rule. I just think somebody needs to set the trend and say, look, it's silly. We ain't playing in the game, so why are we wearing a uniform?
No, everybody in baseball must wear a uniform, QB. That's baseball. Yeah, I'm with you on the basketball coach in the without the $2,000 suit on the sideline, but with baseball, everybody's in uniform.
All right,
Sorry.
JC. Well, we're going to take our first time out.
Except the trainer. The trainer, for some reason, is in shorts. The trainer's got shorts and a golf shirt on. That's
there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, we're going to take our first time out.
All right.
I'm going to tell you about G-Tech Clean, one of our new sponsors. When we come back, we'll be joined by Jimmy Dykes.
G-Tech Clean is your complete germ protection. It's EPA approved to kill COVID-19 and kills 99.9% of all germs and viruses, black mold, and also deodorizes. It's the safest, affordable way to clean and sanitize your business, no matter if it's a gym, school, retail store, or office. Use it in your home anywhere from the bathroom to the kids' room. It's formulated to provide 24/7 protection and is over 30 times more durable than any other cleaners. Try G-Tech at home as well.
I use G-Tech Clean to keep our studio free of all germs and viruses, and so should you. We're going to take our first time out of the pro. When we come back, we'll be joined by ESPN's Jimmy Dykes. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning.
Hey Gators, this is Coach Steve Spurrier. Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker, MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Niapa Latin Cafe, Rap Spot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, TB Financial, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Garshakow Insurance. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Celebration Point's where the Gators go to celebrate, with premium brands like Bass Pro Shop, Nike, Sensei, Dave & Buster's, opening soon Prime and Pearl, and coming spring of 2021, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Visor's Rooftop Bar. We will see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators go to celebrate. We're now going to go to the Titan MR Hotline. We're joined by ESPN analyst Jimmy Dykes. Good morning, Jimmy. How are you?
Shay, I'm doing really well, man. Thanks for having me on. Look forward to visiting with you for a few minutes.
Yes, sir. Jimmy, let's talk a little bit about your career. You're a basketball guy, grew up in the state of Arkansas, went and played basketball at Arkansas for Eddie Sutton. I know we lost Eddie Sutton, I believe it was last year. Just talk to us a little bit about what he was like to play for.
Yeah, just a Hall of Fame coach. While I was playing for him, we all knew that he would be someday, and he was blessed to get that recognition before he passed away. And just a hard-nosed, tough, believed in man-to-man defense, discipline, dedication off the floor. We had 3 words on our practice uniforms back then, Shane. It was dedication, discipline, and defense. That was on the back of our practice jersey and the back of our practice gear, and he believed in it, and he held us to those standards every single day. Like, there wasn't one practice ever that we didn't practice on defense more than offense.
Wow.
And then how he held us accountable for shot selection and the discipline that goes with that, and just how we went about life. So he really had a big part of shaping me and how I see the game, and shaping me how I see the world and how you're supposed to treat people, and the value of working hard and all those things. So it was a great experience. It launched me into a coaching career. I was with him as an assistant coach at Arkansas, Kentucky, Oklahoma State, and I got into the NBA as a scout before I joined ESPN about 25 years ago. So those were good times. We had good teams at Arkansas. I was not one of his main players, but went to the NCAA tournament every year, and it really set me up for a terrific career in college basketball.
Yeah, it's amazing how just coaches in general can shape your life. That's what Steve Spurrier did with mine as well. I want to say, Jimmy, when you were at Arkansas, y'all were in the Southwest Conference at that time, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and you played in Barnhill Arena.
Yeah, one of the all-time great on-campus facilities that we've ever had in the game.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. What's the comparison like? And I know it's hard to compare now because of COVID and everything, but what was the biggest difference, or is there a difference between Barnhill and Bud Walton Arena?
Yeah, Barnhill was about the size of Cameron Indoor.
Oh, really?
It was it was small. It was 8,000, somewhere in there. But it was impossible to get a ticket. It didn't matter if we were playing Prairie View A&M in the non-conference game in December, or the Houston Cougars with Olajuwon and those guys. You just couldn't get in. It was the biggest show in the state of Arkansas. There's no professional teams here in football, basketball, baseball, and the Razorbacks were it and still are it. They dominate this state, and it was one of those arenas where the crowd was right on top of you. There was not much separation between you and the front row, and it was almost impossible to come in there and beat us. I don't know what Coach Sutton's record was in overall there, but after he got it rolling, you didn't lose more than about once a year in that building. It was really something special, and kind of miss those kind of buildings these days. Everybody went to those bigger 18 to 20,000 seat arenas. I think they're all too big, regardless of where they are. And we kind of lost a little bit of the impact of the crowd and the feel and the heat in a building like that. It was really rare and uncommon, and I miss those kind of places.
Yeah. Jimmy, I read, we're reading about your bio. I mean, obviously I know about your broadcasting. You do a tremendous job doing that, but you went to Nashville. Did you want to be a country superstar at some point in your life?
Yeah, I was scouting for the Seattle Supersonics in the NBA and had time. It's obviously you're traveling a heavy load when the college basketball season's going on, but the off season, I had some buddies that had a band, and we traveled around the state of Arkansas, Missouri on weekends, and I finally just went to Nashville. Said, if you're going to make it, got to go to Nashville. So I was there for about a year and wrote songs, recorded songs, and about that time, my transition to ESPN was taking place, and I fell in love with that part of the job and moved back to Arkansas as a high school athletic director, where the school I was at, I hired Gus Malzahn as my head football coach. And
wow.
About that time, I was really getting my ESPN career going. But I love Nashville. I still love country music. I met some great people over there. It's a great town. I love it anytime I have a game in Vanderbilt and try to get out and hear some live music. So, yeah, that was a big part of it. I've had an interesting career between coaching and scouting, a high school athletic director, living in Nashville, authoring a book. I've tried to make the most out of my life, and still am. And I think that's how you have to do. God gives us so many days, and we need to make the most of them.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you what, I'm a huge country fan. If I could do anything in the world, Jimmy, it's be a country music singer. The problem is I can't play an instrument and I can't sing a lick. But I would love to do it.
Hey, there's been other guys that have made it by the same way. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right, let's jump into the SEC. Before we talk Florida basketball, just your general broad view of the SEC right now. I think maybe 5 teams. I watch a lot of basketball, Jimmy. I cannot figure out the LSU Tigers or the Missouri Tigers. I think they're both very good basketball teams, but they just lose too many games.
Yeah, and I might throw Tennessee in there as well. I think
true.
The league big picture is saying we'll get 6 teams in. And if a 7th team gets in, they're going to have to win the SEC tournament. That's where I think that's where we're at. Ole Miss right now is the next team that would have a chance, just based upon their overall resume. But they're stacked up behind 6 or 7 teams, and now you're running out of time. I think so. We'll see what happens in the SEC tournament. But yeah, I kind of do have LSU figured out. They are a very good offensive team, one of the top 10 or 12 offensive efficiency teams we have in the country. They just don't defend well enough to win big games, and that's gonna be what takes them down in postseason play. And normally that's the case. Whatever your problem was in regular season is going to be your problem in postseason. So that's where LSU's at. Missouri's just they're inconsistent, I think, in scoring is what they are. I think they are a good defensive team, a solid defensive team. They're solid in a lot of ways. They just have some times where they really struggle to score, similar to Tennessee. So it all sets up for a very, completely wide open SEC tournament. There's 7 or 8 teams that if we took the time to go through it, I could convince you this is a team that's going to win it. And it's probably the 6 teams that are looking like the NCAA tournament is a lock. And then I can give you a case for Ole Miss, and I could give you a case for Kentucky right now.
Yeah. Alabama's had a tremendous year. They ran into a buzzsaw the other night in Bud Walton with Arkansas. Arkansas is probably the hottest team in the league. Talk about those two teams. Arkansas is playing great basketball. Alabama, a lot of people think they can make a run deep into the tournament, but if they don't make shots, they have no chance. Just talk about those two programs.
Yeah, I did the game. It was a high level game. Arkansas is playing the best of anyone out there right now in this league. They're very well balanced. They got a lot of size. Their guards are big. They don't put a small guy on the floor, and they really fit together. They just have a good DNA and a good personality and about how they fit and play together. Yeah, you're right. The problem with Alabama is when they are at their best, which is how I try to view teams. Their best is good enough to get to the Final Four. The problem is their bad is also low enough to be knocked out in the first round as a 2 seed or a 3 seed. I think they'll end up as a 2 seed. So if they have one of those games where the 3-point shot isn't falling, they could be in a world of hurt early in that tournament. But they still play a really blazing fast speed of basketball. When they're jumping up making shots, they can really get that train rolling, and they are a vastly underrated defensive team.
We got a Facebook Live here brought to you by Melvin Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. John wants to know, do the Gators have a seat on Jimmy's jet?
Yeah, I think they're right there in that coach section. It's just a really solid place. I don't think they're going to move up to business class or first class. Certainly, they're not going to be a top 1 or 2 seed, but they still have the best win in this league overall. Their win at West Virginia is the best win that this entire league has. So that alone tells you that they are capable of getting to the second weekend in this NCAA tournament. I like that squad a lot, and they came off of a pretty good pause because of COVID. We know the ups and downs that they've had in their year, but if they can kind of get everything in place this last month, they could easily be a Sweet 16 team. Castleton has really changed them on the inside, as you guys know as well as I do. And those guards are all capable of having good nights. Their point guard spot is not their strength. It's not their weakness, but I don't think it's their overall strength. And their turnovers is what you have to keep an eye on with Florida. But so with Appleby, Mann, Noah Locke when he's handling the ball, Scotty Lewis, they got to take care of that thing, because when they do, Mike runs really good stuff. They just got to take care of the ball, allow the offense to have a chance to work.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Mike White. I can't tell you, Jimmy, how many times on my show and other shows here in the Gainesville area, everybody wants to fire Mike White. He's in year 6. He's been to the tournament, I think, 4 straight years. Going to go this year. I think he's a really good basketball coach, but, when you follow a legend like Billy Donovan, it's tough. Talk a little bit about what you think of Mike White. And I don't think people realize, too, when you lose your best player the way that they lost Keontae Johnson, you don't prepare for that as a coach, that kind of situation. Just talk about what you think Mike White has done since he's taken over the Gator basketball program. Yeah,
I think he has really solidified Florida basketball, which is not easy to do when you're following Billy Donovan. He solidified it with his guys, his style. We cannot overstate the importance of losing Keontae Johnson for the year. He was the SEC preseason player of the year. This was not just another good player. This was the best player, arguably, in this league. And I don't care what league you're in, when you lose that guy off your team, you're not going to be as good. and that was completely out of his hands. He's done a fantastic job of maneuvering that program through that tough time. And I think Florida Gators need to be very appreciative of the guy. He's young. He's a phenomenal recruiter. He's a great communicator with the generation that he deals with these days. But he also holds them to a really good standard. He didn't let those kids get away with anything. And he's got all the makings of Florida basketball being relevant nationally every year that he's there. And you want to gamble and get rid of Mike White, go find somebody else and bring him in. Good luck with that. Yeah. Good luck with someone that's gone to 4 straight NCAA tournaments. I'd be very, very careful if I'm a Florida fan with what I say about Mike White in that regard.
I agree 100%. We're speaking with Jimmy Dykes here on the Titan MRI hotline from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. You can follow Jimmy on Twitter at Coach Jimmy Dykes. A few more minutes with him. All right, the national picture. I saw one of your telecasts the other day. You put up the 8 teams that you think can win the the national championship. I agree with all of them. But Jimmy, this is probably dumb to say, but I don't know if I've ever seen a more complete team than the Zags out at Gonzaga. Am I crazy, or are they that good?
Yeah, they are. They are that good, and they've got 3 legitimate first-team All-Americans on that team. Jalen Suggs is, I still think, the most NBA-ready point guard that we have in college basketball. He's just a freshman. Corey Kispert is arguably the best big-time wing shooter that we have in the college game, and Drew Timme on the inside is one of the top 4 or 5 post players. So they got an edge and a toughness about them. I'm getting a little bit concerned because of the league that they're in, and that's always a discussion. But it is it's real. Like the games they're playing right now are not even close to the level of what Michigan's playing, or Baylor has played in the Big 12, or Ohio State, Florida State in the ACC. It's not, and that's very difficult to keep improving. Keep your edge, keep all those things about you over the last 7 or 8 weeks like they've had to do. But Mark's been in that spot before. He's gotten to that national championship Final Four before, so he knows how to do it. I'm just saying that's something to keep an eye on. Right now, the order that I would throw up there on the screen today would be Gonzaga number 1, Michigan number 2. I would probably still keep Ohio State number 3. I would have Baylor 4 and Florida State 5. That list of 8 might get trimmed to 5 or 6 next week, but to answer your question, Gonzaga is the complete team, and they're the real deal.
Yes, they are. Last thing for you, Jimmy. You have a book out, and I love the title of the book, The Film Doesn't Lie. Can you talk a little bit about that book and how people can get it?
Yeah, the fastest way and the best way I think to get it is off our website, CoachJimmyDykes.com. Those books get to me about every 2 or 3 days. I write a personal note, sign them, and get them out. And Shane, it's a book that has really resonated with a lot of people across the country because it's a book that causes us to create space in our heart to get quiet before God and look at our game film of life and truly evaluate where we are in some really key areas. Just like as a coach, the power that we put in a game film. And that's where real change and real truth jumps out. And I challenge the viewer with a lot of key areas of forgiveness and how hard it is to keep our life balanced, and the power of our spoken words, and how to handle hard, difficult, I call them droughts in our life. How do we handle those times? So it's been a real blessing in my life that I wrote it. I know God really spoke to me a lot about a lot of key things in my own life, and I've gotten a lot of great feedback from it. So any of your readers that are tilted towards a book like that, or they think they know someone that would want to be challenged with a book like that, it's an easy read. I wrote every word in it. I don't use big words. It's an easy read, but it's a challenging read. So that website, CoachJimmyDykes.com, is the best place to go to.
Awesome. I just came up with one other thing I have to ask before we let you go. Tons of transfers. I mean, in football, it's a transfer portal. They've been playing transfers in college basketball a lot. Do you like that in the college game, or do you think it's hurting the game?
Shane, I don't like it. I just it's more of a big picture feel for me. I'm really big on the word commitment. I know people are going to say, yeah, but a coach can leave. Well, yeah, but a coach is also paid the price. Those guys have worked hard to get in those positions. A lot of years, struggling to get to a spot where they are as a head coach. So that's not kind of the question that you asked me. But what I'm concerned with the transfers is now it will be even greatly increased if we go to the one-time transfer rule. Guys being recruited right off your campus during the post-game handshake line, or all the hugs and handshakes on a football field. You'll have guys recruited right off of your campus at that point. Just getting the thought going of, hey man, we hated playing against you today. We love how you play. You would fit great into our system. Hey, good luck the rest of the way. Let us know if you ever want to talk. That's going to happen. I mean, it happens now, but it's really going to happen when those one-time transfers come in. So I'm not in favor of it. And should people say, well, it's because you're old school? No, I'm not old school. It's just the values that I have in my life. And that's how I feel about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff, Jimmy. I appreciate you taking the time to join our program today. Hey man, if you want to crank up that country music band, I'll be one of your background singers.
We can make it, man. We can at least draw a crowd. Then it's up to us to keep them.
That's right. All right, Jimmy, be safe, man. And we look forward to your calls the rest of the basketball season. Take care, bud.
Thanks, Shane.
That's Jimmy Dykes. Join us on the Titan More Hotline. Going to take our final time out of the pro. When we come back, we'll wrap up this Friday edition.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Chick-fil-A on Archer Road, Avera and Smith, Dowling Signs, Chomp Carter Apparel, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. At Center State Bank, we put business first. We're the largest community bank in the state of Florida. Understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. Center State has 4 convenient Alachua County locations. Center State Bank, member FDIC. I want to thank JC for joining us, and obviously Jimmy Dykes taking time to join us. He's got a very busy schedule, but I think he's outstanding when it comes to broadcasting college basketball games. And you never know. Me and Jimmy Dykes may be touring the country in our country music band. Rick says on Facebook Live, you don't have to call me darling. You don't want me to sing that for you, Rick. Make sure you tell all your friends to follow our show. We need as many followers as possible. And you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and 39 other platforms out there that you can check us out. Got a really good lineup for you next week. Make sure you stay tuned for that. In the meantime, this show's a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. Be safe out there, folks. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday.